Women's Panel Virtual Educational. Today we have the beautiful Dawn Callahan on the show. How you doing today?
I am wonderful because I am awake.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Dawn Callahan is the creator of treatyourtrauma.com. Can you tell us a little bit about treatyourtrauma.com?
Sure. So Treat Your Trauma is actually a campaign that I started earlier this year, which really tries to break the stigma of mental health, which is stigmatized. Of course, we still don't talk about mental health, and it is really a passion of mine. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. After many years of therapy, many years of self-help, research, podcasts. I studied just about everything. I realized that I had PTSD, and I wanted to see how I can help other people understand that if you do not heal from your trauma, you can't have the life experience that you're really supposed to have here. Life is supposed to be fun, but we are weighed down with the trauma that has happened in our lives. And there's never really a time in our lives that we're intentional about healing. So things will happen in our lives. We'll pack it away. We'll put it in a closet. And I was very guilty of doing that. And then after COVID hit, I opened that closet and all the trauma started falling out. And so I realized that I needed to do some healing. So I created Treat Your Trauma, which is really a conduit between the community and mental health organizations and research and legislative to make sure that the people in the community that needs to have access to the resources really have access to the resources.
I love that. And you also have the integrated marketing, you're integrated marketing specialist for the public, I believe it's a private sector.
For the private sector. So I own my own business. The name of my business is DawnCallahan.com. DawnCallahan.com. Mm-hmm. Dawn Callahan Inc. DawnCallahan.com is the website. I'm awake, but the coffee's still kicking in. So my company, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Much like my brother, we're very driven. we grew up in a space that encouraged that. And so I started my first business in 2007. Dawn Callahan Incorporated was created this year, but I've been working with small businesses since I moved to Houston in 2015. And so basically what I did was really turn the hustle into a business, did everything that I needed to do to formalize and really tried to lean into what my goals were, what the mission and the values and so forth. So what I landed on was working with other small businesses to help them really understand what they need to have in place in order for their business to be successful. And so we offer 3 different verticals. The first vertical is accountability coaching, which we all know that is very helpful when you have someone who's holding you to the flame for all of the things that you say that you want to do, but we procrastinate, we put it on the back burner, life gets in the way, and then we end up not doing it. And so the accountability coaching really does help with that. The second vertical is project management, because most of my clients are C-suiters, meaning they're in high executive leadership roles. They don't have time to really lean into a lot of the research, a lot of the planning, the work plans, the itineraries, just across the board. And so we manage that. And then the last vertical is content creation, which is really just the marketing piece, which is really my baby. I love it. I've been doing content creation since forever. And so what we do is we manage all of the marketing for our clients. And so they don't have to worry about going into their LinkedIn, their Facebook, and so forth. We create all of the content, but it's more than just posts. We come in, we strategize with them to make sure that we're meeting whatever their goals and objectives are. And we're basing whatever the content that we're putting out, we're basing it on that strategy. So that's the company.
And it's a great company, by the way. Let's go into your non-for-profit organization. Can we do that? Nonprofit?
So the nonprofit arm, the social responsibility arm of Dawn Callahan Inc. is really Treat Your Trauma. So one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that I was very diligent, my background is very much nonprofit. I've been volunteering since I was in high school. I don't know anything other than volunteering, which was very problematic when I started a business, but that's not what this conversation is. But my master's degree is in philanthropy. And so I've worked with nonprofit organizations. And so when I started the company, I knew that I was going to have a nonprofit arm. I didn't know what that nonprofit arm was going to be. I just knew I was going to have a social responsibility arm to it. And that's what Treat Your Trauma ended up being.
You're a busy woman.
I am.
You are a very busy woman, but you're a busy woman with purpose. Because on top of all those amazing accolades that you also have apparel.
Oh yeah, my store.
Yes. Uh-huh. All in your business this morning.
That is so funny. So yes. So let me just say as an aside, I am a recovering workaholic. And when I say recovering is something that I have to work on a regular basis. I love working. I love the seeing results. I love seeing the back end. And so when COVID happened, I was still working in the mayor's office here in Houston, and we didn't have work to do. And I fell into a depression. It was a lot going on. And so I was like, well, let me see what I can do, what I can find to do. And so I had never worked in the e-commerce space before. And so I was like, let's learn how to do this. And I'm really good about taking webinars, and I'll go online and I'll search and figure out how to do. I mean, I will build you a house. Like if YouTube tells me where to get the stuff, I will do it. And so that's really how my e-commerce store came to be. I was really just starting it because I was curious about e-commerce. Like I wasn't even thinking about like, oh, you can make money off of this or anything. And so it was funny when, if anyone is not familiar, when you have a Shopify app, when you make a sale, you get the notification is a cha-ching. And so it's like, so the first time I got the cha-ching, I was like, oh, I felt a certain kind of way. Like I kind of like that. And then I started leaning more into learning more about e-commerce and how that works. And what I will say is that, it's a lot of work. The e-commerce piece is a whole lot of work. And I have really pushed that one a little bit more to the side because I really like to focus on the small business. The small helping people is really my passion. It's always been my passion. And so, yes, I do technically have an e-commerce store, but I do I focus more on my Dawn Callahan work. And I also serve on a board of a nonprofit organization. So it's all of, those things that sort of kind of all play together.
I get it. I get it. You want to prioritize your life. Um, uh, it seems as a lot of self realizations happened during the pandemic with you. So I would like to dive into that a little bit from the start with the treat your trauma.
So, what's really interesting is that so in 2007 I was working for an organization. It was a very toxic organization, and
Mm-hmm.
very discriminatory, and I quit. I had just bought a condo. I was fresh out of grad
Mm.
school. I quit, and I didn't really have a plan at all. I just knew that work environment was not going to work for my spirit. And what I will say about me and my brother and my sister actually is that we don't mess around when it comes to those types of environments. I know that a lot of people come home, they be stressed out and they'll do it for 20, 30 years. And we like, no, like 2 tears in a
Mm.
bucket, like we out of here. And so I started paying attention to what it felt like to feel free, right? Like, so that started back
Mm.
in 2007. And that was the beginning of the journey to understanding that our environment, the people that we come in contact with, the type of company that we keep, all plays into our mental health. And so one of my friends who worked at that toxic organization with me, we both quit at the same time. And I remember, and this was way back. I was younger. I was a lot younger. We were in my condo. We were sitting by the window. We were smoking some things, and we were just talking. And we were just like, "This is really what life is about. Like that freedom to just self-expression, to just be able to just be
Mm.
and just really lean into who you truly are, and not have to feel as if you have to fit into any type of a mold." And so the seed was planted back then, but it wasn't until COVID happened that everything sort of kind of came to a head. And so in
Mhm.
between all of that, I had been, I bought that condo, that beautiful condo that I talked about. I lost it in a bankruptcy. I started the business. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't take a business class. I didn't, and I was just like, oh, I can start a business. I told you I will build a house, right? So that determination
Mhm.
can also be a downfall because we have to get to a place where we understand that we're never supposed to do it alone. There are people that we need to lean into for help. And so So what happened was I experienced a lot. You know, I lost my space. I had to move back in with my parents. At that point, I was not young and that was not fun. But one of the great things that my mother told me at the time was like, you don't like, why are you here? You don't have to be here. You can be anywhere in the world. You don't have any kids. You're not married. You're not tied down. You literally have the freedom to be. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And so I moved to Houston. I didn't have a pot to piss in, excuse my French. And I came here with a box and a suitcase. I didn't have anything. I found an apartment on Craigslist. I moved in with two roommates that I didn't know. I slept on the floor for 6 months. I didn't have anything to eat. It was just a really, really difficult time. But the thing was, it was a time for me to learn more about who I was. And what I realized after, you know, my own therapy and my own self-help and understanding, getting to a place where I really understood what was the truth versus what we've been manipulated to think, is that if you're not intentional about discovering who you are, you'll never discover who you are. Right. And so we come out, we start, you know, emulate what we see. We really do take on our environment, right? And so the downside to that is that everyone's environment is very different. And so there are situations where some people have the resources. They have people who can look at them. I had learning disabilities. There was no one saying, hey, Dawn has learning disabilities. I just thought I was stupid. And so I say all that to say that treat your trauma is really just a light bulb for people to say, you need to be very mindful about the type of life that you're going to have. You need to be very mindful about your life experience, because at the end of the day, it's really short. Like life is really, really short. Like I'm 45. Like, how did I get to 45? Like I remember I've morphed into this grown ass person, and I'm like, I don't know how I got here, but I'm here, and it's really, I didn't realize it until like I live in an apartment building, and the girls, you know, cute little, you know, they like you, like
Mhm.
y'all young, you cute, you still get dressed up and your cute stuff and everything. Girl, I'm in stretch pants and a t-shirt. Like I'm like I've done it. I've done the club, I've done the fun and everything, and I'm happy, but I'm done. Like I'm done. I don't want to revisit it. But I didn't realize that I had gotten to that point until I saw them. And I was like, my boobs don't sit up like they used to. Like they don't look like hers. Like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm getting older. And
Mhm.
so the
Mhm.
thing is that you have to be very intentional about the type of life that you want, because life will creep up on you and you'll keep saying, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. The life expectancy for women is 78 and for men is 74, which means that middle age is 35, 40. So you
Mhm.
have to be very, very mindful about being intentional about the life that you want to lead. So that's
I
really
love that.
why I'm very passionate about treat your trauma, is because I don't think that, I know that it's not encouraged in our society. It's not like someone's going to call you and be like, Gena, are you pursuing
Mhm.
your passion? You know, like that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, so you have to, if Gina's not being very definite in her purpose, if she's not living a purpose driven life, then you miss it.
I love that. It is always a great thing to be intentional with your life's journey and creating a positive blueprint for you, and also for the legacy that you're going to leave behind as well. Because I heard, I don't quote me on the person, but he said, I'd rather live a life that was so full that he left empty, instead of leaving with things that he should have done, would have done, and never done. So as far as with treat your trauma, how can we support that? How can we, be a part of that? How can we? Can you tell us a little bit of information about that support?
Sure. So the biggest, the quickest and the fastest, the easiest, cheapest way for people to support is to really be aware of the people that you are around. You know, that the whole notion of, you know, share kindness, share a smile. Like I'm very, very mindful of, especially with women. Now, don't even get me starting to talk about the young lady in Kabul, because that really did hurt my heart. Like it pierced my
Yes.
heart.
Mhm.
And so I'm very, very intentional because women do not typically support women. We don't, it's not because we don't love each other. It's because we've been programmed to think that we're in competition with each other and we're not. Like no one has
Mm.
my blueprint. I don't have anybody else's blueprint. What I have to offer, no one else has to offer. And that's what it is. And so we have to learn how to appreciate each other. And so I'm very intentional about when I see women, don't let a woman be in some fly shoes or a cute hairstyle. Like I am that person. I will chase you down to let you know that you look good, sis. Like you are doing the thing. Like I'm giving flowers on a regular basis. I'm making sure that people understand that I see you. I acknowledge you. I see your greatness. I see how special you are. I think that you're a fabulous person. You're going to be great. And this is not a facade. This is when I tell you this is me around the clock all the time, constantly spreading joy because I know what it feels like to not have it. And so the quickest, easiest way for people to support Treat Your Trauma is for them to support each other, right? And not only support each
Mm.
other, but also look in the mirror and see your own greatness. Because the reality is that when we know and understand how great we are, then that comes out in everything that we do. It comes out in our work. It comes out in our relationships. It comes out when we're driving a car. That road rage tends to back up a little bit when you love yourself and you love life and you're joyful. So the reality is that if everyone took on that mentality of just spreading more kindness and spreading more love and joy, it's like the pageants, the beauty pageants back in the day, and they'd be like, "What is your one wish?" And be like, "I wish for world peace." Like it's like that's really I'm that kid. I'm just like, I just want people to understand that life is fleeting. And one of the things that my father told me when I was very young was that his grandfather told him that you never stop learning. You learn until the day you die. Right.
That's
And
right.
so if we just look at it from a different perspective and not the perspective of the machine that we were all bought into, that we were all raised in, which is this whole perception that it's this, dog eat dog world, and we have to, it's the fittest that's going to win, and if you grew up in a certain community, then you don't have a chance. Like that's all bullshit. Like the reality is that if what you have inside of you was put in there by God, you can't take what I have away from me. There's not anything outside externally that can take away my purpose, my joy, my skill set, anything whatsoever. And so understanding that makes my life very full, my life very joyful. And so again, I just want people to do the same. I just want everyone to encourage each other.
I love that. I love that. And let's give you your flowers because in your move to Houston, like you said, you came with a pretty much a dollar in the dream to Houston. Let's talk about how you got a chance to work directly with the mayor of Houston and tell us about a little bit of that. Like these are some things that we have to acknowledge.
So, it's so funny because so I'm not a what do you call it? Like I'm not starstruck, like who did I see that like the woman who wrote 1619, the book on slavery, the anniversaries. Like when I saw
Yeah.
Nicole Hannah Jones, I lost it a little bit. I fanned out. Like I for real fanned out. But like people who are
Mhm.
performers and all that kind of stuff, like I'm just like whatever. And so working in the mayor's office, one of the things that we did was that we worked on planning really big events for the community. And so they were all very nominal
Hmm.
fees. So we would always have stars, coming through. There's actually one tonight. One of our events is tonight, the Mayor's Holiday Celebration. And so it was really just a great time for me to just be right. Like I didn't like I was in a different headspace because I didn't realize that I was still sort of I was clouded by what had happened in Chicago. So I was just working a job,
Mhm,
girl. I was
mhm.
just working a job, and it just so happened that it was in the mayor's office. But to back up on how I ended up there, my master's degree is in public administration, focusing on philanthropy. And so they hired me to
Mm.
fundraising. And so my job was to come in and, um, meet with funders and convince them to sponsor the events, because without sponsor dollars, the events couldn't happen because we didn't use taxpayer dollars. And so what was funny was that because of my history in Chicago with my first company, um, we would be in meetings, and I was like, y'all not even using social media? Like that don't even make any sense. So I
Oh
kept doing
wow.
one of these numbers. I was just like, y'all not. So they had created these social media accounts and they were dormant for years. Like, girl, when I actually went onto the accounts, there were questions like from 5 years ago, like, how much are tickets? And I was like, y'all never even answered them. Like,
Wow.
that's so bogus. And so what I did was I started bugging the hell out of the director to the point that she was like, you know what? Do it. Just you do it. And so she created a position for me to have this role, which had never been created before. And I had a lot of fun. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, it was just I had freedom to just explore the possibilities of digital marketing because my boss was older. And so, generational, gaps. I say something, I say impressions, and she's just like, I don't just stop, like, say less, like, whatever you need, just go and do it. And so for basically about 7 years, I just was around the city with my phone and a tripod, and was able to do some really, really fun, amazing things. And we put on some really great events for the city. But at the end of the day, it wasn't my passion. Right. And so again, when COVID hit, that was the first time that I stopped. Like, I had been, like, I wasn't dating, because when you, as my brother can contest to, in the event world, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot. Like, it's just around the clock. It's constant. And so when you're putting on events, we had Super Bowl here. We worked that. My job for Super Bowl was just managing the mayor's social schedule. So it was vanity, Essence, all of those things, everything that was Super Bowl, all the parties, that was my job, was to make sure. So I'm escorting him to all of these things. I don't care who's in the room. I'm not looking for selfies. I'm not looking to take pictures or anything. My one job is to make sure that the mayor is connected with the people that he needs to go to and get him out where he needs to go, blah, 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 Skippy, whatever, whatever. But it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's very stressful, and it takes a lot of time. And I have really been doing events since I was 15. And so when I left the city, I was like, I'm done. Like, if you want me at an event, I will appear at an event. I'm not planning an event. I don't want to do it. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I can do it. I've been on the production side of some very large events, but it's a lot of work. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I'll never take away from the experience that I had.
Ooh, I love that. Being of service, your life definitely has purpose. And each situation, like, you follow your calling. And I believe that's about being in tune with spirit, being in tune with the supreme being, most high, and saying, you know what, it's time to allow myself to elevate. Some people do not know how to elevate in their lives. And I don't want to tap in it too long. I know we have uh, to do the social handles, but you hit a subject about what causes a lot of health issues now with our people, because sometimes staying on a job that's toxic for so long leads into heart attacks, strokes, different type of situations, because you're not happy in the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to get too deep into that, but when you said that, I said, this woman gossip. Dawn Callahan gossip. So, and I love the different levels of your elevation that you're going through, and that you're trusting yourself to go through. So with this nonprofit organization, can you tell us how we can donate, how we can um, be a part of that, and also your social handles?
So with Treat Your Trauma, it's not officially a tax exempt organization, and so I'm not accepting any donations right now. I'm speaking more than anything because I have an advisory board. And one thing that I believe in is the short game for the long cause, right? And so I'm not, especially with Treat Your Trauma, I'm really being very diligent and very intentional about it. So I have an advisory board of, therapists and business people, and, that's nationwide. And so we're still making sure that we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We don't want to do what's already out there. And so one of the things that we're doing right now is just really being diligent about our best practices to make sure that what we're doing is going to be effective. So what I started doing was speaking. So I spoke at Amazon last month, actually, and I I talk about domestic violence and healing and PTSD. I spoke at a college here. And so right now is more just spreading the word. If anyone is interested in supporting the mission, we have some what am I trying to say? We have a social media kit that I would love to share. The website is treatyourtrauma.com. You can, even if you just mention hashtag treat your trauma, TYT movement, those kinds of things is very helpful. We're on Instagram, even though I've been so busy, I have not posted on there as much as I want to, but it's just been because it's the last quarter of the year. And so me and my team are just preparing our clients for the new year. But yeah, I mean, and again, like if you do a kind gesture and you want to do hashtag treat your trauma, I'm all for it. If you just anything to encourage the movement of healing and passion. And my handles is just my name, Dawn F. Callahan, on all the platforms.
I love that. I'm definitely following, so follow me back.
Absolutely. I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
I love it. I thank you. I thank you for your journey and also being vocal in your journey to help other women and not just women, the community itself. So thank you so much for
Thank
your
you, Gena.
time.
You're so pleasant. I just love your smile. You just radiate happiness. I love it. That's one of
Thank you.
your
I
that's one of
appreciate
your gifts is that smile, girl. Just keep on smiling. And congrats
Thank
to my
you.
brother for putting something like this together. I'm very proud. I love him so much.
Yes. Yes. Shout out to Isaidit Management with the pinky. Thank you so much, Don.
Thanks, honey.